In the bustling city of Riverton lived 12-year-old Elias, a boy whose words tumbled out in rapid succession, filling every silent moment. His teachers often remarked, "Elias has something to say about everything," which wasn't entirely a compliment. At home, his family had grown accustomed to the constant stream of chatter that followed him like a shadow. One summer, Elias's parents sent him to stay with his grandfather, who lived alone in a cabin near a mountain lake. "Grandpa doesn't talk much," his father warned. "Try not to overwhelm him." Upon arrival, Elias found himself greeted by a tall, weathered man who simply nodded, took his bag, and led him inside. For the first few hours, Elias filled the silence with stories of school, friends, and city life. His grandfather merely listened, occasionally smiling or nodding. That evening, Grandpa announced they would go fishing at dawn. "But we'll need to be quiet," he said. "It's the only rule." The next morning, as mist hovered over the still lake, Elias struggled to contain his questions and observations. Each time he began to speak, his grandfather would place a finger to his lips and point to the water. By midday, Elias's unspoken words felt like weights in his chest. "Why can't I talk?" he finally whispered. Grandpa smiled. "Listen," he said. Elias frowned but followed the instruction. At first, he heard nothing beyond the gentle lap of water against the boat. Then, gradually, sounds emerged. The distant call of birds, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, the splash of fish breaking the surface. When a majestic eagle soared overhead, Elias instinctively opened his mouth, but closed it again, choosing instead to watch in wonder. They caught no fish that day, but Elias didn't mind. Each morning that week, they returned to the lake. Elias learned to move quietly, to observe rather than comment. He noticed how his grandfather seemed to communicate with nature through silence, how animals drew nearer to their boat when they made no sound, how the world revealed its secrets to those patient enough to listen. On their final day, while sitting in perfect stillness, a deer and her fawn approached the lake's edge. The animals drank peacefully, unaware or unafraid of the humans watching. Elias felt his heart swell with a feeling he couldn't name. That evening, his grandfather asked, "What did you learn today?" Elias thought carefully before answering. "In the silence, I could hear everything." Grandpa nodded. "Words can fill a room, but silence can fill your soul." When Elias returned home, his parents noticed the change immediately. He spoke less but said more. He listened intently when others talked. At school, his teachers noted his newfound thoughtfulness. How he considered questions before answering, how he observed before acting. "What happened at Grandpa's?" his mother asked one evening. Elias smiled. "I learned that my voice is the most important sound in the world," he said. "And sometimes, saying nothing says everything." In the years that followed, while his friends competed to be heard, Elias discovered that in his deliberate silence lay a different kind of power, one that drew people to him, that earned their trust, that gave weight to the words he chose to speak. He wrote letters to his grandfather, sharing how the lessons of silence had changed his life. During winter breaks, they would reunite at the cabin, walking through snowy woods in comfortable silence, no words needed between them. As he grew, Elias began to share this wisdom with others, first with a younger cousin during a summer visit to the lake, teaching the same patience his grandfather had shown him. Through the turbulent teenage years, when emotions ran high among his peers, Elias maintained his center, not by suppressing his feelings, but by acknowledging them in silence, before choosing his response. When college interviews came, admissions officers were struck by his thoughtful presence, how he paused before answering difficult questions, how he listened completely before responding. Years passed. When his grandfather eventually passed away, Elias inherited the cabin by the lake. Sitting alone in the old fishing boat, holding a weathered photograph, he felt the full circle of the legacy he'd been given. And when Elias had children of his own, he brought them to the lake, smiled knowingly as they chattered excitedly about everything they saw. And when the moment was right, he gently placed a finger to his lips and whispered, "Listen." He carried his grandfather's lesson like a lantern, illuminating paths that noise could never reveal, a gift passed down through generations. The quiet wisdom that in a world desperate to be heard, true power often resides in silence. If this story spoke to you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more quiet moments that speak volumes.